Hi guys.
Talk.
We're here to do a live signing of Charlamagne's book coming out tomorrow. Shook One, Anxiety's Playing Tricks on Me. I don't know if you guys know the deal or not, but basically everyone has sent in questions beforehand. If you want to grab a copy of the book and have it signed by Charlamagne right now, you can go to premiercollectibles.com/shook1, like the title, the book title. Char, how you feeling? Are you excited for tomorrow?
I am blessed, black, and highly favored. I feel very calm right now. I don't feel anxious right now. If I do, it's rational anxiety. I'm lying. I do feel rational anxiety. The rational anxiety comes from the fact that I know what to expect from a book tour. You know, this is my second book. My first book, Black Privilege, came out last year, April. Thank you to everybody who, purchased a copy of Black Privilege. You made it a New York Times bestseller. And, I didn't know what to expect from releasing my first book. With this one, it's a lot different because I know exactly what to expect. I know exactly how, grueling a book tour can be, but I also know how fulfilling a book tour can be. So I'm really looking forward to going out here for the next couple of weeks, shaking hands, kissing babies, having these conversations about, mental health in our community. And then it'll be the holidays. And it'll be Thanksgiving. And then, I get to really, kick my feet up and enjoy my favorite time of the year, which happens to be the holidays.
Do you think being that this time around, because it's so personal, the book tour will be any different for you?
Definitely. Because the first book, even though it was me sharing my experiences from my life, it was still pretty much self-serving. Either you had to care about Charlamagne or you didn't in order to want to even purchase that book. Mm-hmm. Even though the message in the book is still the message I live by now, which is it's a privilege to be black. I still feel like it's an honor to be black. I don't feel like my melanin is a burden or a liability in any way, shape, or form. I feel like it strengthened my melanin. My strength is what allowed me to, create 2 books in 18 months. So, I just feel like even though with that said, it still was my story. And this book is still my experiences, but I just feel like the subject matter is something that anybody can relate to. Mm-hmm. If you got anxiety, if you've got PTSD, if you've got trauma from experiences when you were young, if you're going to therapy or you've been flirting with therapy trying to figure it out, then this book is absolutely for you.
And I'd even say, even if they don't have all of those things, if they're interested in hearing about your experience with therapy and delving into it, because I feel like that's something that people really, really shake on, is the process of actually getting into the process of finding a therapist and finding the right one for you and all of those things.
Very true.
How did you find your therapist?
Because I made you do extensive research on different people.
And what did you say to me when we started looking for a therapist? What kind of therapist?
I said I wanted an Asian woman. And the reason I wanted an Asian woman is because I wanted somebody who I felt was going to be neutral into anything that I may be experiencing. I got a chapter in this book, right? It's chapter 3. It's called Blackanoid. All right? And that chapter is very self-explanatory. It's about being black and paranoid in America. And, I think that black people, we deal with a different level of anxiety because we understand that it's a lot of, biases that we experience. Some are overt, some are covert. I personally have never been a victim of overt racism, probably because, people know that when they go low, Michelle Obama goes high, but when they go low with me, I'm going to take it to the floor with them. So I just have never experienced that, even growing up in Moss Corner, South Carolina. But I know I've experienced a lot of covert racism. And I think that's why, your anxiety, your anxiety can play tricks on you sometimes because, black people, our circumstances are different. When things happen to us, we don't know if they're happening just because of circumstance or because of the color of our skin. Right. So I wanted somebody that was just going to be biased. I didn't want somebody that was gonna have. I mean, somebody that was gonna be unbiased. Somebody that didn't share my same biases. That didn't have any preconceived notions about anything. You know that I was going through. But I couldn't find an Asian woman. If you think finding a black therapist is hard, then try finding an Asian woman therapist.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, talking to this Caucasian woman who has been very good for me. And the reason she's been very good for me is because, she is very neutral on a lot of things, because I really don't think she has an opinion on any of that stuff. Like, she just listens to me, and, I've had conversations with her, and I can tell she's not judging me. I've had conversations with her where she's looked at me and, woo, did just like that. Like, yeah, that was a lot. Makes me wonder who she has to go talk to after she talks to me. But I think now, after being in therapy for, over a year, I just feel like I'm ready to be pushed, by somebody from my tribe. I just wanted to give it a shot with somebody who wasn't going to necessarily be like a amen corner, so to speak. I'll probably just reconfirm a lot of things that I already knew.
Yes, man.
So, yeah.
All right, so...
Aren't we supposed to be telling them something? Like,
well, I mean, you can talk about the book, what inspired you to write the book, but I love that...
I want to tell people that signed copies are available at premiercollectibles.com/shookone. I don't even know.
So all these copies he's signing right now, if you'd like to cop one and have it signed by Charlamagne right now, all you have to do is go to premiercollectibles.com/shookone, and you can get your very own. We're going to be doing this for a little bit.
We did this last year with Black Privilege, too.
Yes, we did. And this time we want to do it later in the day, so some of you getting off work could actually get your hands on a copy of one of these.
Word.
But no, I wanted to ask you how you found your therapist, because I think it's interesting that you started writing this book before you entered into your journey in therapy, and that finding a therapist wasn't exactly the first thing that triggered you to start talking about anxiety.
Yes.
So can you talk about what really triggered you, inspired you to write the book in the first place?
Well, one thing about book publishers and book agents, they will always press you to write a second book, especially if your first book was such a success.
Like Black Privilege?
Yes, like Black Privilege. They don't pressure you to write a first book within 18 months of your first book being released. But, I've always dealt with anxiety, and I got clinically diagnosed with anxiety back in 2009. And I tell the story in the book. I actually told the story in Black Privilege, if people was paying attention. But, I was back at home living with my mom at like 31, 32 years old after being fired for the fourth time from radio. And my daughter was like 2, and my now wife was living back at home with her parents. And I remember just driving down I-26 in South Carolina and just having like this really bad panic attack, like this type of panic attack that made me feel like, oh shoot, I'm having a heart attack, like I'm about to die, like shortness of breath, heart beating all crazy, feeling like my left arm was going numb. I literally convinced myself that my left arm was going numb only because I had read that before. Like, when you have a heart attack, that's what happens. And so, I went to the hospital, and the doctor was just like, what's so funny? When I was driving down I-26 to go see Little Duval perform, because he was at one of those schools in Orangeburg, Claflin or South Carolina State. I don't remember. But anyway, so I went to the hospital, and the doctor did the EKG on me, and he was just like, yo, you're fine. Like, you got an athlete's heart. And he was like, yo, do you suffer from anxiety? And I was like, not that I know of. And he was like, yo, it sounds like you had a panic attack. And I was like, a panic attack? And he was like, yo, you stressed out about something? I was like, fuck yeah. You know what I'm saying? I've been fired from radio for the 4th time. I'm back home living with my mom, collecting unemployment checks. Like, yeah, I'm stressed out. And so when he told me that, that was kind of a gift and a curse, because I never had heard anybody. I think I've heard of panic attacks before, but I never thought I had one. But then I started thinking about all the times previously in my life that I felt that feeling before I was clinically diagnosed, and I was like, oh, that's what that was. But what bothered me about it was when he said to me, are you stressed out about anything? And I was like, yeah. So in my mind, I was like, okay, all I got to do is get me another radio job, and I'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Once I get me another radio job, then that will automatically rid me of all anxiety, and I'll never have another panic attack again because I'll be fine. I'll be in a better place in my life professionally, and that happened. I got the job with the Breakfast Club and all of that, but didn't stop me from having the panic attacks and the anxiety attacks and all of that other stuff. And that's when, you know, what made me decide to like start going to therapy was when I was on vacation last year, and I'm sitting around watching all my family and all my friends, and you know, we in Angola having a good time, and I'm getting a haircut by the pool, and I just had this moment of peace, like this real moment of serenity, like, yo, this feels great. Like, I'm not worried about anything. I don't have no anxiety. Like, life is good. And I was like, yo, how can I hold on to this feeling all the time? And, you know, I had been flirting with the idea of therapy for a minute, like just talking to people, because everybody I know that's successful, like really successful, has either gone to therapy or they have a therapist on speed dial right now, or they have a therapist that they go to. I'm talking about everybody from athletes to, you know, artists to CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, any entrepreneur you can name, they've all gone to therapy in some way, shape, or form. So, you know, I'm always looking at the little, you know, the little secrets that successful people do to remain successful or to get even more successful. So after that vacation, I was just like, y'all really want to feel that feeling all the time. So I just decided to go to therapy and like get a grasp on this anxiety of mine. Because that's when the anxiety really plays tricks on you when you're so-called good. Like when everything is supposed to be peaches and cream, you know? That's when you realize, like, okay, it may be an issue. Because all before, when I was having anxiety attacks and panic attacks, it was just like almost being in that situation where the doctor diagnosed me. Like, I knew why I was stressed out. And, you know, living the lifestyle I used to live, you know what I'm saying, selling crack in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, like, yeah, of course you're going to have anxiety. Of course you're going to be anxious. Of course you're going to have panic attacks. Like, you sitting out there selling dope all day. You running from police. You getting guns pulled on you. Like, you getting in fights. Like, of course you're going to have, you know, a sense of paranoia. You think that comes with the lifestyle. But it's when you're good, man, when everything is all peace, and you're still having those feelings, and you're still freaking out when, you know, it's nighttime and you leaving the drugstore, and, you know, you hear bass coming from a car, and the car pulls up behind you at the light, and you looking in both mirrors to make sure ain't nobody running up on the side of your car, and then you driving and this car's still behind you, and then you notice this car trying to pass you, and in your mind you done created this whole scenario in your head about, oh shoot, here it comes, they about to start shooting, and then there's some little logic looking motherfucker behind the wheel, just minding his damn business.
So would you classify that as part of your irrational or very rational anxiety because of your past and things that have happened to you and people rolling up on you, or even outside the radio station? You know, I feel like it's kind of rational because you've had those experiences before.
I mean, that's PTSD.
Yeah. I feel like also, you know, the thing that is super interesting is that people oftentimes have panic attacks when everything is fine and they really have nothing to worry about. Have you had a panic attack that you were like, why am I having anxiety right now? There's nothing wrong. I'm in a great place. That's
what made me like start going to therapy. Like just having those, you know, panic attacks when everything's supposed to be good. Like laying on your couch, minding your business, and really thinking, yo, you got to be living some dream. Like, you know, people say that all the time. I'm living the dream. Yeah. Sometimes it really does feel like a dream, and it feels so surreal, and you feel like it's all gonna be gone tomorrow. Like you're gonna wake up. Like, you know, I wake up in pools of sweat sometimes, just because. You know.
And therapy has greatly changed that for you, right?
100%. Therapy was something I needed to add to my repertoire because I already had everything else. Meaning that I've always had great spiritual advisors around me. You know, I'm a very God-fearing person. You know, I've read damn near every self-help book there is. I understand that, you know, I understand the power of my brain. I understand the power of my thoughts. I understand that my thoughts become things. I understand, you know, the power of positive thinking. I understand that positive energy activates constant elevation. I understand that whenever negative thoughts come into my mind, I got to push them out immediately. That's why therapy is so good for me, and that's also why anxiety is so dangerous for me, because I understand my thoughts become things, and I understand that, you know, if I hold on to certain positive thoughts, they will manifest in my life. I've seen it. I've seen the results of the power of positive thinking in my life, and I feel like negative thinking is the same way. So it's like, yo, it's damn near impossible to not think negative thoughts. It's just about when they pop up in your mind, how fast can you push them out? And that's what causes me to have panic attacks when I keep having the same negative thought over and over and over and over. I feel like I'm holding on for it too long and it could possibly happen. And that's what makes me be like, all right,
it's poisonous.
I gotta go woosah somewhere.
All right, so a bunch of people have sent in questions as they were purchasing books, and previously, before we started this,
are y'all purchasing books? Are y'all going to premiercollectibles.com/shook1? Are you purchasing the books that I'm signing for y'all? I'm doing this for y'all. I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what time is it?
It's 5:16.
5:16. I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning. And then tomorrow I got a heavy press day. You know what I'm saying? Am I doing Dr. Oz tomorrow?
No, Dr. Oz Wednesday. Wednesday.
I'm on Dr. Oz podcast tomorrow. And I'm on
we are doing we have a book signing in New York.
Doing a book signing in New York. I'll be on Fifth Avenue, the Fifth Avenue Barnes and Nobles at 12:30 p.m. I'll be there in the flesh, you know, signing copies of Shook One. And then I'm doing something else. I'll tell y'all tomorrow though. I don't want to tell y'all now.
Surprise.
It's not really a surprise, but I'll tell y'all tomorrow.
If you know us, you'll expect it.
Yes.
So yeah, let's answer some of these fan questions.
I'm doing Elvis Duran in the morning too. I'm doing Elvis Duran. I'll be on Elvis Duran at 7:45 in the morning. Salute to my guy Elvis Duran. I love him.
Okay. I apologize if I butcher your name, but let's get started. Danique from Phoenix, Arizona asked, how has your wife been able to deal with your anxiety?
My wife been dealing with my anxiety for 20 years. Okay? I make my wife just as anxious as me. You know what I'm saying? My wife knows what it is, you know? She knows when to put the alarms on. You know what I mean? Like, she knows exactly, she knows me better than I know myself. She knows situations that I'm going to like, and she knows situations that I'm not going to like. You know? So my wife fully gets it. My wife fully understands. My wife is one of the people that, you know, push me to go to therapy, because, you know, I'm the go-to guy for a lot of people. And sometimes the go-to guy has to ask, who does the go-to person go to? If you're the go-to person in your life and in a lot of people's lives, who does the go-to person go to? And after a while, man, you know, my wife didn't have any more answers for me other than take your ass to therapy. And that's what I did.
Elizabeth from Racine, Wisconsin says, how can we help natural remedies overcome man-made medicines in treatment recommendations?
That's a good question, because I haven't had to be on any medication, thank God. You know, I got plenty of friends who have, though. I got plenty of friends who have much worse anxiety than I do, you know, whose anxiety sometimes turns into depression, and all of them are on medication. Like, I got friends who didn't want to even get on airplanes, you know, because their anxiety was so bad. So, you know, medication seems to work for them, so I'm not opposed to medication. I just want y'all to be on the right medication. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna be on Xanax and all that kind of stuff, like take the prescribed amount from your doctor. Like, don't just be out there popping pills for recreation. Like self-medication is never good. You know, but I'm not against medications at all. I just think that everybody needs to make sure they're supposed to be on medication. I thank God that, you know, my first therapist who I went to didn't necessarily jump to put me on medication. Because, you know, I deal with anxiety. Anxiety can, you know, a lot of anxiety, certain levels of anxiety for the most part can be dealt with just, you know, therapy, with just talking to somebody. But I haven't had to be on any medication yet, thank God. But, you know, if I have to pop a half a Xan 13 hours before I land,
oh my gosh,
then I might.
All right, Kasha from Sickerville, New Jersey said, what is the biggest way therapy has helped you in everyday life situations?
Just knowing that it's okay to not know. Just knowing that it's okay to figure things out. You know, we live in this era now where everybody feels like they have to know every mother effing thing. And, you know, y'all on social media acting like y'all know every mother effing thing. And y'all, you know, coming up with these fake theories and these fake, you know, facts. and arguing with people like they're the truth. Like everybody feels like they have to know. Like you think about like we're almost like human algorithms, meaning if something breaks right now, if a story breaks right now, everybody has to weigh in on it. So everybody has to know, right? Everybody has to know what's going on. Like one of my favorite pastimes is to go online and look at people talking about me and knowing that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like knowing that everything they're saying is a complete and total lie. And I appreciate that. And the reason I appreciate that is because it just lets me know that it's okay to not know. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to front and act like I know, because when I front and act like I know, then I look like y'all. And I don't want to look like y'all, because y'all are ridiculous.
That's an interesting point, too, because I feel like we've talked a lot about how social anxiety social media plays into anxiety now. And what do you think the effect of social media is having on all these adolescents growing up with it right in front of them?
Man, if I was 14 years old, growing up in this social media era, I'd probably kill myself. And the reason I probably would is because social media is painting this unattainable picture of perfection, you know, for people. I've also, you know, watched other people make that I've never gone through, but I've learned from them. Like you can learn from a crackhead. A crackhead can teach you what not to do. You know? So it's just like, yeah, like every story I've ever appreciated, like really appreciated, like the Autobiography of Malcolm X. I love the Autobiography of Malcolm X. You know why? Because that's the greatest story of growth and evolution that I've ever read. And I've been saying lately that I think the best stories of evolution to me are, you know, Malcolm Little to Malcolm X and Jay-Z to Sean Carter. Like I love the growth. You know, that's why I've always gravitated towards the Nation of Islam. Because if you look at what the Nation of Islam does, you know, the Nation of Islam takes the worst of our society and turns them into gods. You know, like that's why the Nation of Islam has always been so big in prisons, because these brothers go in to these prisons and, you know, none of these prisons are real correctional facilities, but the Nation of Islam is correcting them. And you don't get, you know, Malcolm X unless Malcolm Little gets introduced to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You don't get Muhammad Ali unless Cassius Clay is introduced to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, you don't get the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan unless he's introduced to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I mean, I just love the fact that the Nation of Islam is a place for growth and evolution, and they allow their people to grow and evolve, and that's what we got to start doing.
Elevating each other.
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody says, Anthony from Glendale, Arizona said.
I know him.
No.
You said it like you know him. Oh, Anthony.
Anthony from Glendale. Do you understand how many lives you're impacting, my brother?
Nope. And I'm not thinking about it. And the reason I'm not thinking about it is because the only life I am really trying to impact is mine. And that's not a selfish thing to say at all, because I feel like we all have to be the best version of ourselves, because if we are the best version of ourselves, then we can impact the world for the best. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever version I am of myself at any given moment, that's how I'm impacting the world. So I feel like as long as I go and I do the work mentally, as long as I go and I go and do the work spiritually, as long as I do the work emotionally, you know, even physically, you know what I'm saying? Like it's good when you see a brother, you know, glowed up. You know what I'm saying? Like look at this. This waist is trim. You understand what I'm saying? Like this is.
Look at his skin.
Look at his skin, baby. It's Dr. Natasha Sandy. You understand what I'm saying? His stomach is right. Like, so, you know, you go back and you look at me 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you know, about 200 plus pounds, skin all blotchy, acne, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't living my best life. Okay, I wasn't in the best shape I could possibly be in. But you see me now, and you see that not only physically am I, you know, different, emotionally I'm different, and mentally I'm different, and spiritually I'm different. You gotta kind of like be inspired by that. I know I am. Oh, you don't look at Gucci Mane and get inspired. Come on now. You don't look at Gucci Mane and get inspired? I know I look at Gucci and get inspired. You know what I'm saying? I look at people, I'm like, yo, that brother doing his thing. I salute them. I salute the growth, man. I salute the evolution. I salute people who are not stuck on the same bullshit that they've always been stuck on. And you know, listen, man, I can sit here and honestly say that I've always told people not to become a caricature of themselves. And you know, one thing I realized over the years is that when you're in this business, I don't care if you're an artist, I don't care if you're a radio personality, I don't care if you're a blogger, I don't care if you what else they got out here, Paige? I don't even know. Podcaster, like whatever you are, you will get caught up in a shtick for a brief moment. Yeah. It just will happen. Like, you know why? Because you're hearing people say things about you, and you're reading people say things about you, whether it's magazines, whether it's social media comments, whether it's comments on YouTube. You'll see what people are saying about you, and you'll see what people like about you. And, you know, we all have, you know, that thing in us that wants people to like us and wants people to appreciate us. So, you know, you will sometimes start playing for that crowd, you know, but that's whack, because that's not being real. And I mean, I've been in those moments, you know, early on, where I had to really think about it and be like, yo, is this really how I want to represent myself? You know what I'm saying? Is this really what I want to show people on a daily basis? Is this really what I want to give people? So it's just like, you got to break out of that mindset. You know what I'm saying? You got to break out of that mindset. You can't be afraid to evolve, grow, and really be who you are at any given moment. This is Charlamagne the God at 40 years old right now. This is Leonard McKelvey. Leonard C. the God McKelvey. Whatever you want to call me. This
Uncle Larry.
Uncle Larry. Okay? This is me. Uncle Charlo. This is me in that. You know, this is who I am right now. Guess what? 4 years from now, I might be evolving into something else. I don't know. I'm just telling y'all where I'm at right now. This is who I am. And to me, this is what being real is. Being real is like really being who you are in any given moment and not being afraid to express that.
Well, I think the book is really going to change a lot of people's lives.
Nobody
really impact a lot of people's lives.
Nobody asked you, Paige.
And, you know, mental health isn't really talked about enough in the Black community. And
how you know?
Because it's not.
Oh.
As a Black man living in America, what would your advice be to other Black men when it comes to taking care of your mental health and emotional health?
Here's the thing. I did not even think that I was writing a mental health book. Like, that was not my intention in no way, shape, or form. I had no idea that anxiety was even considered a mental illness. I just thought anxiety was anxiety. You know, I mean, now I know that anxiety is the #1 mental illness affecting people in America today. Had no idea when I first started writing this book, you know, over a year ago. I just was like, I really was just like keeping a journal of everything that I was going through. You know, it started off like Paige told you earlier, before I even started going to therapy. I just started like writing down all the different times I had anxiety attacks, you know, and all the different times, you know, I was getting anxiety attacks now because I was trying to find correlations between why I was having them. You know what I mean? I'm like, I ain't selling dope, you know?
Right.
I'm gonna tell you when it really started to bug me out. When I when I entered into this community called the Faithful Black Male Community. Okay, when I stopped cheating, you know, on my wife and really being a good man. I am almost 2.5 years sober. From other women. And that's when I realized, like, I really shouldn't have any reason to have anxiety. Because we, you know, brothers, you're lying to yourself if you telling me that, you know, cheating on your woman don't give you the ultimate anxiety. You know, especially for me, because, you know, I'm wild.
As it should.
I'm out of town, you know, answering FaceTimes with a woman under the covers. Like, it was bad, bro. You know? So it's like, yo, when I finally cut all that out and really was like being the man I needed to be, like being the husband I needed to be, being the father I needed to be, you know, I'm like, okay, I should not feel this way because I'm not doing any dirt. Like, the dirt will make you have that sense of anxiety. That'll make you have that sense of paranoia because you know you're doing wrong. But when you're not doing that, you know, and you just peaceful with it, that's what made me start, like, really, let me write down all of these different reasons I'm having panic attacks and anxiety attacks and see if I can find any correlation to what's really going on. And it really was nothing, you know, other than the fact that I was just bugging out. You know, a lot of this stuff was getting very overwhelming. Like, just being in this position was getting overwhelming for me. So that's what made me even start keeping a journal about the anxiety. And then eventually, you know, when I started to go to therapy, I started to realize that, you know, I also had PTSD, which I always thought, though, because I always knew what PTSD was. So I always felt like I had PTSD. But then I also realized I had trauma from past experiences. You know, it could be little things. Like, I used to always make the joke about, you know, when I got molested at 8 by my cousin's ex-wife. Like, I was like, yo, the reason I made her stop is because she had a jerry curl, and I used to hate the smell of it, you know. And people think I'm joking. When I saw Straight Outta Compton, I'm like, yo, it brought back all those feelings. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, I see a jerry curl now. Even if it's Daryl's family and coming to America, they sitting on the couch. I'm like it just it brings me back to that moment. Because first I see the jerry curl, then I realize how the jerry curl smells. Then it brings me back to those moments when she used to be, you know, letting me suck her titties and giving me head and stuff like that. And I didn't realize that was all trauma, you know? And like, those are things that I just realized in therapy. So I started just unpacking all of that. Like, literally just unpacking that. And then, you know, as I was coming up with these pages and coming up with these different chapters and talking about all of these different experiences, you know, me and Chris Monroe will be sitting around and, you know, he'll be reading it and fleshing it out. And he's like, yo, this is a book about mental health. Like, this is some deep shit. Like, you know, you really taking it there. And I'm like, book about mental health. Because, you know, I'm not on medication or anything like that. I just go to therapy. So in my mind, I'm like, this is not a book about mental health, but it is a book about mental health. And so that's what made me go and get my man, Dr. Ish Major. Salute to Dr. Ish Major. Dr. Ish Major is a therapist, and he's a brother who graduated from the University of South Carolina. So what I was trying to do was write my experiences and then transcribe what my therapist was telling me. And I was like, that's whack. I was like, I would rather just tell my experiences, keep what my therapist told me to myself, but explain what she told me and how it affected my thoughts on the situation. I definitely explained that in the book, but I'd rather have an expert, you know, talk to y'all about my experiences. So you'll read a chapter, it'll be based on my experiences, and then Dr. Ish will come in and give you the clinical correlation to each chapter.
And break it down. I mean, it's such a personal book, and I'm really excited for people to read it because I think you share a lot about your life that people don't see all the time. What do you think the most intimate thing that you shared this time around in the book that you really, really hope resonates with readers?
I don't know. That's a great question. You know, I mean, for me, it's this one part. I mean, of course, stuff about my father, but it's this one part where, like, I talk about T.I.'s song, Still Ain't Forgave Myself. And, you know, in that song, T.I. talks about, you know, on this road to wealth, he still ain't forgave himself. And he talks about all the things he did growing up in the hood that he necessarily still hasn't forgiven himself for. And it's interesting because last time he was on the Breakfast Club, we actually spoke about this, and he says that he still hasn't forgiven himself for it. And, you know, his mindset is a lot like mine. You know, I just got to pay it forward, you know, for all of the destructive things I did in my community. I got to, you know, be 4 times as more productive, you know. So I think people are really going to appreciate that that part of the book. 'Cause I think a lot of us battle with that, especially if you're from the hood. If you're from the hood and you conscious in any way, shape, or form, or you've learned to have empathy in any way, shape, or form, then you definitely can't be proud of a lot of the BS that you did in the hood. Because a lot of times, man, we think we're good. You know, we've gotten out of situations, we've grown, we've become successful. But what about the people you may have hurt indirectly or directly? So for me, that's just something that I'm gonna always have to deal with.
Yeah. Do you think there's gonna be a time in your life where you don't have any anxiety at all?
I have my moments. I mean, like I said, this book came out of
a moment of clarity.
You know? So it's honestly really about what you allow yourself to do. You know? Like, I think that the biggest thing you can do to have moments of clarity is to get off that goddamn phone.
Yeah.
Okay? Stay off the rover. All right? Stay off the motherfucking rover. Okay? Stay off the phone. I'm telling you, man, that goddamn smartphone, boy, that social media, it's like we're in a verbally abusive relationship with our smartphones. Like every day of our lives, there's somebody yelling at us, screaming at us, telling us they want us to die, wishing the worst upon us in the worst way, you know? And it's just like, I think sometimes you just got to disconnect, man. Disconnecting is the best thing. That's why I'm like, big on family and friend vacations. That's why I love dinners. I love big dinners. I'm big on that. You know what I mean? I want to sit around and eat with people that I love. You know, I want to sit around and laugh and joke and talk about life, man. Get off the goddamn phone so much. At least let's talk about what's on the phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't got to actually be on the phone. Let's just talk about some things that we saw earlier. Only problem with that is if people at the table ain't seen it, then they're like, hold on, let me get my phone for a second. And then that's where it starts.
Yeah.
And that's whack.
Speaking of phones, you've got 3 girls that are growing up. How are you going to deal with them getting social media eventually?
They're not.
Do you
You realize that, and I've read things about this, do you know like all of those rich guys like Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, not Steve Jobs because he's dead, but even Steve Jobs when he was alive, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, you know they don't let their kids use social media?
Yeah.
They don't let their kids have phones and social media, so that should tell y'all something right there. That should tell y'all something.
It's
like
toxic.
That shit is beyond toxic, man. That shit is fucking up our minds. And I'm telling you, in the future, we're going to see the effects of smartphones and social media on people. Like the same way like they doing all these studies in the NFL about CTE and stuff now. You're going to see the effects of it. I can see it now in these kids. These kids are socially awkward. They don't even know how to have conversations with people anymore. Like when I did Uncommon Sense, and we did 3 seasons of Uncommon Sense, and it's like, you know, it was a point where I was like, okay, all these black Twitter people, they popping, you know what I'm saying? They acting like they got the best personalities in the world.
Keyword acting like.
Let's see. We brought in like 100. Out of those 100 people, it might have been like 2 that were good. you know, Taxstone. That's really it. To be honest, to be totally honest, academics has developed very well. You know what I'm saying? Academics has a gift for gab. You know, I think academics has finally found his voice. You know, which I would always encourage him to do. And I think that, you know, just like anybody else, you know, when you first starting off, you're gonna develop a little bit of style from everybody. You know, and academics definitely wasn't ready at that time, but he's more than ready now. You see him on Everyday Struggle every day. So, you know, but it wasn't a lot out of like 100 people. You know, Kaz, but Kaz don't really count. Kaz always had a personality before social media. I'm just thinking about the people that I actually used on the show. You know, I mean, I never used academics, but I had some things in the works for Act. Salute to Act.
I love that. We've got about 5 minutes left.
Really?
We'll head out soon, but I just want to remind you guys to go to premiercollectibles.com/shook1 if you would really like a copy of this book. These stipends are going inside a fresh new book off the press. Do you want to pick a question?
No, go ahead. I'm just looking.
Did
a lot of people join us?
Did a lot of people join us? Yeah.
Oh, word.
Great.
So make sure y'all go get that book at Premier Collectibles. And if you don't get the book at Premier Collectibles, you know, just go pick it up tomorrow, October 23rd, when it comes out, man.
But if you don't want to wait in line at Barnes & Noble or have them run out, because these things are going to be flying off the shelves.
That's right.
Go to premiercollectibles.com/shook1.
It's the realest shit I ever wrote. It's probably
Actually.
not. It's probably not, but I just always wanted to say that because Tupac and Jeezy said it, and I don't rap, so I mean
I think it is.
that's the only time I could ever get a chance to say, you know, it's the realest shit I ever wrote.
Okay. All right, well, I like this question to end on. Sarah from Vista, California said, what is your number one piece of life advice to carry into 2019 on the path to success?
My piece of life advice, my advice is to keep God first, stay humble, and keep working. That's my daily affirmation. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I know how to do. Keep God first, stay humble, and keep working. And the reason for that is because, like, I got a spiritual foundation. I believe in a higher power. I know there's a lot of people who don't. I'm old school. I do. And, you know, staying humble, man, is just like the illest thing that you could possibly do, because I feel like a lot of opportunities that I've gotten in my life is simply because I believe what my grandma used to tell me, and that's what that is, that manners will take you where money won't. You know what I'm saying? I speak to everybody. You know, I walk in a room, I say what's up to everyone, from the custodian to the CEO. You know, when I'm shooting these television shows, I shake everybody's hand, because I think one thing that we don't realize is that all of these people play a part in making you look good. You know, the camera people, the producers in the studio, like all of them gotta get love. Plus, that's something that I like to do anyway. I'm an executive producer, so of course I'm gonna go show all the producers love. But I just think that you should treat people the way you want to be treated. Like, you know, I show love to human beings, period. So that's just, you know, the humble aspect of it. You know, and you know, stay working, man. That's all I know how to do, because I don't have no degrees. I didn't go to college. There's no plan B for me. You know, I don't have a special skill set. Like, this is what I got. You know, radio and my ideas and my brain. And that's why I'm so, you know, hell-bent on staying mentally healthy, because I'm not going to let y'all drive me crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to let y'all drive me crazy, and then I can't come up with creative ideas to keep people employed and, you know, keep my people eating. So
keep me with a job.
Word up. You know? So that's just what it is. Keep God first, stay humble, and keep working.
And don't be afraid to grow.
Definitely don't be afraid to grow, because that's going to happen regardless. So you're either going to be, you know, a grown-ass man or a grown-ass boy.
Yeah.
Grown-ass boys look stupid.
I know a lot of those.
I know a lot of grown-ass boys my goddamn self. And, you know, Muhammad Ali said it best, man. Muhammad Ali said, the man at 50 who thinks the same way he did at 30, he's wasted 20 years of his life. So please, don't waste any of your motherfucking life. Okay?
Don't waste your life. And get Shook One. It's in stores tomorrow, guys, but you can get it right now. Go to premiercollectibles.com/Shook1, and you'll get one of these nice signed copies that Charlamagne stayed up late past his bedtime to do for you guys.
Thank y'all, man.
Thank you so much for joining
real,
us.
man. God is good. It's my second book, man. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. I know that a lot of people say corny, cliche things like, you know, I would not be here if it wasn't for y'all. that is absolutely true. It may be corny and it may be cliche, but it's true. The currency is in the people. You know what I mean? I fuck with y'all. I don't fuck with these corporate, culturally clueless executives because they don't give a fuck about me. They give a fuck about me because y'all give a fuck about me, and I give a fuck about y'all. Because at the end of the day, what I try to do with my platforms is while I'm here and I'm in these positions, I'm gonna put things out in the ecosystem that can help all of us grow, that benefit all of us as a whole. All right?